Suseme panangit samu.
Trigger warning. The following biography contains references to rape and child molestation. Please continue at your own risk. Things you should know. I alone knew what I had suffered. I alone knew what it felt like to be alive, but dead. Phoolan Devi. Welcome to Things You Should Know, People Edition. Today we'll talk about Phoolan Devi, otherwise known as the Bandit Queen. Phoolan was born into a poor family from the Malla caste in 1963. The Malla caste are known as the boatman caste and are considered one of the lower castes in India. She was born in the small village of Gorakhpura in Uttar Pradesh. Being the fourth of 6 children, she is only one of 2 children to survive to adulthood. At the age of 11, after the death of her grandfather, Phoolan's older uncle became the head of his family. His son, Phoolan's cousin Maya Din, cut down and sold the neem tree that stood on the family's land. The neem tree was one of the last valuable items left to the poor family. Phoolan disputed her cousin's claim on the tree publicly, calling him a thief and staged a sit-in on the land. She did not give away even when the family members tried to use force to drag her home. A few months later, Phoolan was to be married to an older man in his 30s. This was against the law, but it was part of the customs of her community, which favored marriage of a younger woman to an older man. According to Phoolan, she was raped shortly after her wedding by her new husband. This continued until her health began to fail and Phoolan's family brought her home to help her heal. Once she recovered, she was returned to her husband despite her protests. She was only allowed to come home after her husband took a second wife. This went against custom for the wife to leave the husband in the area, and Phoolan became target for constant sexual advances by the men of her village. Due to her new status as an outcast, her family distanced themselves from her. Her cousin Maya, the same one that she had fought with over the tree, even accused her of theft, which caused her to be arrested as a dacoit, otherwise known as a bandit, where she was temporarily jailed. Shortly after the jail sentence ended in 1979, Phoolan was kidnapped by a gang of dacoits. The gang leader, a member of an upper caste known as the Gajur, tried to rape Phoolan, but he was shot in an attempt by his second-in-command, Vikram Malla. The result of this situation was that Vikram became the leader of the gang, and Phoolan entered a new relationship with him. After they had established their relationship, Vikram encouraged the gang to attack the village where Phoolan's older husband had lived. When they attacked, Phoolan dragged her older husband that had abused her out into the street. There she stabbed him and left a note on his injured body, warning older men not to marry younger girls. Phoolan was the only female member of the gang and learned how to use a rifle and loot the upper caste villages. After every crime, she would visit a Durga temple and thank the goddess Durga for her protection. Sometime later, tensions within the gang flared between the Mullah caste and the Thakur caste, a landowning caste that the original leader had been part of. There was a gunfight and Vikram and Phoolan escaped into the night. Later, 2 members of the gang tracked down Vikram and Phoolan and shot Vikram dead. Phoolan was then taken prisoner and taken to the Thakur-dominated village of Bemai. There she was locked up, beaten, and raped by several men over a period of 3 weeks. With the help of some lower caste villagers from Bemai and her own gang, Phoolan made an escape. Phoolan and the gang began a series of violent raids and robberies around the area that generally targeted the upper caste people. During this time, Phoolan started a relationship with Man Singh Malla. Approximately 7 months later, Phoolan returned to Bemai to seek revenge. On February 14, 1981, her gang marched into the village dressed as police. Phoolan demanded her rapists be brought to her along with the valuables of the village. None of her rapists were brought forward, and in a rage she ordered her gang to line up and shoot all the Thakur caste men in the village. This resulted in 22 Thakur men killed, although it should be noted that Phoolan later argued in court that she never opened fire on the men herself. This attack provoked retribution. Chief Minister of the district resigned in the wake of the killings, and a large-scale manhunt was launched. They were unable to find Phoolan, though, due to the support of the poor people in the area. It was rumored she did not keep any valuables during her crimes, but rather passed them out to the poor, much like Robin Hood. The media at this stage named her the Bandit Queen. Phoolan evaded capture for more than 2 years. In an attempt to remedy things, the Indira Gandhi government negotiated for Phoolan's surrender. In February 1983, she surrendered to the government on the condition that she would be taken prisoner by members of a non-local police force. She also insisted that she would only lay her weapons down in front of Mahatma Gandhi's picture and the Hindu goddess Durga. In addition, she required a promise that the death penalty would not be imposed on any member of her gang who surrenders, that the term for the other members of the gang should not exceed 8 years, a plot of land to be given to her family, and she should be escorted by the police to witness her surrender ceremony. Phoolan was charged with 48 crimes, including 30 charges of banditry and kidnapping. Her trial was delayed for 11 years, during which time she remained in prison. In 1994, a controversial movie titled The Bandit Queen was made. It was about Phoolan Devi's life up to her 1983 surrender. It was based on Mala Sen's 1993 book, India's Bandit Queen, The True Story of Phoolan Devi. Although Phoolan is a heroine in the film, she fiercely disputed its accuracy and fought to get it banned in India, threatening to immolate herself outside a theater if the film was not withdrawn. She was finally released on parole in 1994 after an intercession by the Nishada fishermen community. In 1996, 2 years after her release, Phoolan ran for office for her local district in Uttar Pradesh. She won the election and served as an MP during 1996 and through 1998. She lost her seat in the 1998 election, but was re-elected in the 1999 election and was a sitting member of the parliament. Sadly, on July 25, 2001, Phoolan was shot dead outside her Delhi home by 3 masked men. The gunmen fled the scene and she was taken to a nearby hospital, but was declared dead on arrival. The main suspect, Sher Singh Rana, later surrendered to the police. Sher allegedly claimed to have killed Phoolan in revenge for an upper caste men she had killed in the Bemai massacre. On August 14, 2014, Sher was sentenced to life in prison and given a fine of 100,000 rupees, which at the time translated to approximately $1,640. Thus ended the life of Phoolan Devi.
So se me pan, pan,